Okay, welcome everyone to the conversation with some of the jury members for the MRSI 29th seminar. We're going to have a little chat about what does the seminar this year look like, and we're going to have a chat about what is it that excites us a lot about that. So let me set up a little bit of a context of why we call it Do the New. If you look at the fact that this is the 29th seminar, which means you've done 28 of these before in about 30 years, because there have been 1 or 2 years when we couldn't do it like last year. But if you look at the context of most of the seminars that we've done in the past, every time we sort of talk about the fact that there are new challenges in front of marketeers, there are new challenges in front of researchers, technology is evolving and the world is changing. So we talk about that almost every year. So what is different now? And we're saying the similar things this year as well. But I think COVID certainly is a completely new angle which has come in. And the last 1.5 years has made a dramatic change in the way the world is living, to say the least. Um, if you look at the pace of technology, for example, and in every sphere of our lives, technology has moved sort of by leaps and bounds in that 1.5 years of COVID, which probably wouldn't have happened otherwise. So we thought that let's do something new. Let's do the new. Look at how things are being different, not just in the COVID context, but also in the context of in the context of how people are using research, how the world of marketing is changing. So we've decided to do a few things differently, and I would love to hear your perspective on that. I think one of the things that we did was that we changed, for instance, the format a little bit, and we asked people to give us what we call the elevator speech, which is sort of in one paragraph, in a few lines, can you tell us what your synopsis is about, what your paper is going to be about? And from my experience in the past, when we've run the seminars and when I've been the jury, sometimes you're looking at the paper, you're struggling to figure out as to what's the main point. वो कहना क्या चाह रहा है? Is it the methodology that's the emphasis? Is it the impact that's the emphasis? What is the emphasis on? So in the elevator speech or the short summary, it sort of gives you a very, very clear idea of what the the picture is, what the I was saying picture because trailer tells you what the movie is about. So that gives you so elevator pitch is something we changed. But what we also changed this year is we're not just looking at just a webinar or a seminar. Uh, uh, we're looking at sorry, somebody's talking in the background. So
That's okay.
we're looking at different formats. So can we have a conversation like this? Can we have a hackathon? Can we have paper presentations? Which is also a new way of doing it because people have done so many webinars now that nobody wants to go on another webinar. So we thought why not bring some excitement. So we're trying to bring some excitement there as well. So I'm hoping that our people who are watching and people who come and attend the seminar would find something new as well and different. But I would love to hear your perspective. So Anju, I'm given to understand that you're pretty new to this process. So would love to understand from you as to what were your expectations from the process and the synopsis, and how did you find it in reality when you went through it?
So, thank you, Manish. Yes, I am, I think, the junior most committee member on this one. This is my first seminar. So I was actually, I mean, there was anticipation, but there was also like, one was wondering, COVID time, will people take out the time to write the synopsis and so on and so forth. But to our surprise, over 111 synopsis came. And like one particular topic, which was experiment, had over 60 synopses that we got. So it was just absolutely incredible. To me, it was like reading a thriller. Every synopsis was like, okay, now let's see what the other one has to say. So it was absolutely fantastic. It was an amazing experience. So, and I think I have Vitali to thank for that. So
Well, we have Mitali to thank for a lot of things.
yes,
Obviously, for being the backbone of this organization. But that's good to hear. So, did the other panelists have anything to add about what was your experience in going through the process, the synopsis?
Oh, yeah, I think just to take from what Anju said about the 111 synopsis, and I think that the track record of getting these synopses out, right? The earlier processes were very long, and the quality of the synopses were amazing. And I think for me, what the wow moment was the elevator pitch. I think this is something that we did different this time, and that's why it was an unraveling of experiences as to what each synopsis was going to say. It was also very difficult to judge the synopsis because the elevator pitch was something that every author had thought about. And you could see the dedication, you could see the determination, and that raised the bar of this seminar. And I'm glad we pushed the envelope on this front.
Oh, very happy to hear that. That's really interesting. Pudithya, go
yeah.
ahead. You're saying something.
Yeah, and then actually, it was not just the sheer magnitude of the number of different entries that were there, but as Priya said, the quality of what was actually being kind of put forth was really deep and very well thought through. And to my mind, that was something that was a delighter, and it also actually, in a sense, surprised me. And I had a certain expectation that I'll probably be able to finish this in maybe 3 to 4 hours, and it took a longer time because naturally when I started reading these synopses, each one of them was so good and engrossing that one had to kind of go through it in detail and kind of think about it. So it was wonderful, and I'm truly inspired by some of the things that have been worked on, and really now that the tasters have been served, and my appetite's been whetted. It's around lunchtime. Looking forward to the papers and being inspired by them later on.
Well, that's an interesting point you make. So you actually spent a lot more time than what you thought you would land up spending.
Yes, that's right. I did. I thought that I'll finish it off on a Friday evening, work till late in the evening, but I could not. I then got up early in the morning, Saturday morning, and went on. And then, of course, we had a call that afternoon. So, yeah, it was, and it was actually time well spent. And that, to my mind, was really the wow moment for me. Just the sheer wit and the quality of thought that was kind of resident in those synopses.
May I add
Yeah,
to
true. I
Puneet's
remember
point,
Anju and we
Manish?
were talking.
Oh,
Yeah, go
sorry.
ahead. Yeah, of course.
You know what? I think what we did this time, Manish, we've been part of all this, right? And Anju came in, and when she said, "Do the new," I said, "This is so damn good," in a way that I think we stopped telling people quant, qual methodology. You just said these are the 4 spaces. Give us something that we have not seen, and I think that's why this seminar was so interesting at so many levels. And that just crossed my mind when Puneet, when you were talking just now.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. So I think certainly we've come a long way from research being bucketed into quant for sure. But I think Anju and we were talking, we were in the same group of the theme that we were looking at, but we were talking about it before we started evaluating. And I was telling her, look, within 2 minutes, you'll know whether the synopsis is worth it or not, in my experience. But this time it was different. It took much longer than 2 minutes, not because, they were complex or anything, but because the point that Puneet was making, which is that they were actually quite engrossing and interesting. So I found that the synopses were really well written for me. The wow factor, they were really well written this time, most of them. So I think people were highly involved in the way they wrote it, the way they thought about it, and perhaps more senior and more experienced people were involved in creating the synopses and writing them. Which made them a pleasure to read. They weren't. Normally, what happens is that about half the synopses are quite amateurish, written by somebody who doesn't know that actually this has been thought and developed already in the past, or you must research of what work has happened. This time, I didn't see too much of that. It was a very, very well thought through thinking that was coming through, well written, articulated, good involvement, and perhaps senior researchers, which I really enjoyed reading. So on that front, how was your experience, Anju, as well? Did you think that
So I just
was
want
fast
to
and
say,
easy?
Manish was my guru. So he called me and he said, "This is how you evaluate synopsis, and this is the process I follow, and you will get to your own process and so on." But he did tell me, some synopsis 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I said, okay, so this is easy. But oh my God, like I was saying, they were so well thought through. They had so much depth and substance that one couldn't get oneself to say, okay, I got it. You had to go through the whole thing, and I think like Puneet was saying, right? It was really time well spent. So I also spent like a lot of time, way more than I had imagined. But I think it was really very, very pleasurable. And I just want to say, like, for me, the wow moment was that, this was the COVID year, right? And, when we said do the new, the fact that our industry and all our clients, everybody, has sort of like risen to the challenge in serving this customer the best way possible, right? So new methods, new ways of thinking. In fact, there was a paper which challenged fundamentals of research, and they had data to show that how not recruiting the same person in 6 months. Like we say, it's not okay, but the paper actually proved that it is. It is perfectly fine, and it doesn't make a difference to the results. So people were challenging everything, and people were saying, "Okay, if I can do it this way, let me see how else I can do it." And I thought that was fabulous. It was just
Yeah.
mind blowing.
So अब ट्रेलर ऐसा है तो पिक्चर कैसी होगी? Hasn't it set like your expectations, our expectations to be really high?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, Mithali and I were talking, and we were saying that I think to raise the notch a little higher, we'll have to marry what we read, right? You've seen the book cover, right? And we now need to get into the book and the contents of that, and I think that will be a very important element where I think mentoring the authors, seeing how they're writing, because ultimately you have 20 minutes of glory, and that has to really, really be spectacular, engaging, and storytelling, right? And I think that's the next step, and I think it's a very important step this time in the seminar as well, to make all of this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from your experience, Priya or Puneet or Anju, from your experience, either in the form of having presented papers at MRSI or ESOMAR or other such forums, or having been part of the jury or any sort of process, what makes a winning paper?
Can
So
I take a
engagement,
shot at it?
storytelling. You were saying, yeah.
Can I take a
Yeah,
shot at
of
it? I
course.
think for me, while I've actually been being the seminar committee as well as being a receiver in the target audience, I feel the application, right? Very theoretical models and numbers, all of that. Well, it's great, but at the end of it, iska kya karna hai? The application, the use. Can it trigger a thought in somebody's mind to say, hey, let me do this, let me try this out, let me take the same existing paper and let me now apply it and experiment a little more. And I've always thought that some of the ideas are fabulous, like what Anju said. Can we incubate that? Can some of the senior leaders take it up and sharpen it a little further? And I think this seminar, I think that dream can come true and we can push the envelope over there, Manish. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you make, because I think when we were conceptualizing the seminar, and like I was saying earlier, that everybody has been through like a million webinars. Nobody wants to do one more webinar. So then, in the context like that, how do you make an MRSI seminar in the form of a web digital experience that's more engaging and different? So we said that why not have different formats? Why not have a chat like this, a conversation like this? Why not have some paper presentations? Why not have some master classes? And the idea is that since so many synopses are coming, and we've got, as you said, 110 synopses, which is a huge number, much more than what we expected and much more than what we normally get. Why not repurpose some of the synopses? Why not repurpose some of the content into a fireside chat, into a conversation or into a hackathon or a masterclass? So it won't be just presentations that people will come and log in and listen to a presentation for 20, 30 minutes and go away. But it could be other formats that they can engage in. And having good synopsis lends itself to creating content which will allow us to do that.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? In fact, when I was speaking with Mithali a while ago when we were thinking of the event, I was saying, like, what is that one emotion we want people to go away with? And I thought that the emotion this time, after looking at all the synopsis, was inspired. Like, I think people will be truly, truly inspired. And I think people will truly, truly think of collaborating and imagining different disciplines, different types of people coming together. So I think the future looks different. And I feel that the seminar will have a role to play.
Yeah, I certainly hope so, and I would love your perspective, Anju and Puneet as well. Is that more and more, as you see, in my experience with MRSI, ESOMAR kind of conferences, being a presenter, being a jury, being a receiver, etc., is that the amount of content, the kind of content, the nature of content we share in these conferences now has changed a lot. Obviously, it will change, but it has changed in one particular dimension, which I find it particularly interesting, which is that people are a lot more open about sharing. So even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, for instance, you would be very cagey about saying, oh, I can't share it because everybody will know what my secret methodology is, or everybody will know what insight I've given to XYZ client. But there seems to be a lot more openness now. And this year's synopsis, when you look at it, the kind of thoughts that you saw, and you were like, like you said, totally inspiring. Like, my God, this is happening in the industry too. Oh, that's happening in the industry too. Why has that change come about? And, how can we sort of nurture that and grow that even more in your views, Puneet or anyone?
I think MRSI is a great platform to kind of inculcate this sense of sharing and belonging to an industry fraternity as such. But to my mind, the big change that has occurred is the fact that today we are in a world where information flow in any case is very smooth across the board as such. So it's not just true about our industry, but in general, information flows and the availability of information is a lot easier than it was, say, about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, where to hunt for a paper in itself was quite a task as such. So all of that has undergone a change, and the more we interact with one another, there's going to be that much more sharing. And to my mind, what has now happened is over the last 1.5 years, the fact that we as an industry have done so much, and there's so much to talk about and so much to be proud of, is in itself is reflected in the quality of synopsis that we've got. Eventually, the papers and the quality of synopsis is a function of the fact that people believe and people have actually done work that they're proud of. If I've got a story to tell, then it's easier for me to actually talk about that story with a very well knit narrative. If the story in itself is weak, then it's very difficult to kind of dress it up in a manner which is attractive and engaging. So there are multiple things that have happened, but really what this is a longer term trend which is around information sharing, and that's not necessarily restricted to the industry. It is a general trend as such, and and actually the more that it happens, the better it is.
Yeah. Can I add to that? So I feel that the other thing is really COVID has really been a teacher in so many ways, right? Like it has taught us that collaboration is probably, the way to survive. It's the only way for survival. And that gets reflected even in our industry. And like Manish, like you rightly pointed out, right? Like the generosity of sharing, right? That we've seen today, or even in my experiences with earlier seminars, I think it has been quite unusual and quite spectacular.
I just wanted to add to this because very early on, when the pandemic hit us, and I think what Manish is saying that the trend had already started, right? I felt there are three C's. One is this whole connections that we want to have with everybody else, right? We don't want to be in our silos, which is a clear narrative that is playing on. The other is communication. I think we're far more open to sharing ideas and wanting to communicate because we believe that those neural networks actually develop and grow. And the third is what you said, Anju, collaboration. Yeah, and we realize that we are in it together. If we do not collaborate, you're going to be left behind. And I think the world has woken up to this, and it's happening not only in our industry, but as Puneet said, it's happening outside, which is your ecosystem. And I think you could see that very, very clearly this time in the seminar as well. Yeah, the openness of
Yeah,
sharing.
absolutely great point. So, absolutely great point. So, the fact that a lot more information is available now, as Puneet was saying, the fact that collaboration is the way forward to go, and the fact that, COVID has given us a very different perspective, as each one of you saying. I think that the challenge for MRSI seminar or the conference is even more.
Yeah.
Because if so much information is already available, why would somebody come to MRSI seminar and listen to more who is talking about something? Hopefully not all oldies, but some young people too. But and collaboration. I think therefore, how does a MRSI conference like this, which is established, forum which you've done for 28 years before, how do we make it more collaborative? How do we make people to come and express their thoughts and ideas, and not just a monologue where one person is giving a paper presentation and others listen and go away? How do we make it more collaborative? I think that's where the fireside chat where people can ask questions, or hackathon where you sort of put the brief out there or a problem statement there, and people go and collaborate and work and come back. Kind of things is what we're hoping this year will make seminar a lot more exciting and interesting.
Yeah, and I was just thinking if you could have people wanting to say, hey, I liked your paper, I want to chat with you more. Which you would do in an offline world, right? When we were at the seminar, we would go and say, hey, Manish, you spoke something very exciting. Can we talk about it? If we can make that possible, I think it will generate excitement. So it's not something that's happening in the virtual world, but I have access to these conversations and people and say, okay, separate room, let me have a chat with you.
I just want to come in here. I think from whatever we are saying, it sounds like we had a blast, but we also must say that like the
Cognizant.
process was really stringent, and we did our due diligence and worked really, really hard to make this happen.
Yes.
So, and let me assure you that harder work is yet to come. When the papers come back, evaluating them, looking at them to see, or sometimes even guiding the team saying, okay, what should your emphasis in the presentation be? So there is still a lot of hard work to be done, lest you think you're off the hook.
No.
So
That's why I said Manish is my guru. Like he guides me.
No, and I think
but
that's
I must-
absolutely important. Yeah.
No, and I want to come back to this point as to what makes a winning, not just synopsis, but a winning paper. And it's not just about getting that one prize at the end of the conference, but it's also about, creating a paper and a presentation that people would remember and would come to you for and seek your guidance for. So it's a lot more than, in that sense, just being competitive for that one prize. So I think in my experience, and I don't know if you know, but I won the prize for the best paper back in 1998 in MRSI. And then I've done lots of ESOMAR where I won prizes and so on. My experience, I think there are two things. One, storytelling, very, very important, Priya, as you were saying. How do you engage the audience for those 15, 20 minutes in what you're presenting? But I think the other thing is that, having a thought, a core to the story, which runs through the entire presentation. So is it, for example, being sharp that I wanted consumer insights on how do you decide what product to buy? For instance, I'm just making it up. Or I want this new methodology and I want to see that this methodology is indeed good, better than the current ones or not. And therefore, being sharply focused on a singular thought that you want to land and creating an interesting story around it. And of course, that thought has to be very different, quite different from what has already been done before. I think is what, so being unique and different, having a singular focused story and telling it in an engaging, entertaining manner. I think are the three ingredients for making a winning recipe. What's your views on that? Are there any other ingredients? Would you add some other masala to it?
I want to add that I think that tadka is the passion, right? Like how passionate are you about it? And how truly do you want to solve a problem, a human problem? Have you put the human at the center of it, and are you solving something which will be of great value to that human being? I think is also, to me, these are two other ingredients, to a winning paper.
I have just
Brilliant.
one.
Love the analogy of tadka.
Yeah. I have one because I'm an ardent MasterChef Australia person. When you said recipe, one thing happened, and they keep talking about cohesiveness. Correct. Cohesiveness is that what was your dish? What is it that you're going to plate up? Is it the interpretation of that for the person who's going to receive it, right? If you have crafted in your mind. And I think such an important element in the entire process. And I would be looking for that.
Yeah.
Did you say you were a chef in MasterChef Australia?
No. I said an ardent viewer.
Fan. Oh, I just popped up. I thought, wow, you were a chef in MasterChef Australia.
Manish was
I wish.
He was
Yes, I was.
But I have a friend who actually cooked for Gary and all of that. So I was like, wow.
Oh, nice. Interesting. All this thought of food is making me hungry, for sure. But I think that, I look forward to, an exciting seminar and a conference which will bring all these recipes and the dishes together, which are new, different, with a unique take or cooked differently, or the taste very different from before. And I'm also looking forward to the fact that, seminar is going to be, done differently from before because the context has forced us, but also because technology allows us to do things differently now. So, hopefully we will do different things and we will do them differently this year. And I'm quite looking forward to that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to my eyes popping and me walking, 2 feet above the ground because of just the incredible work this industry is doing. And I just also want to say that I felt really very proud of the industry I'm part of when I looked at all these seminars. So that's again another thing I wanted to say.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts, Puneet? Yeah.
Just one more thought. I think the diversity of different technologies that have been applied to answering and addressing market research related issues as such is something to look forward to. It's, to my mind, we've been talking about innovations and disruption that is happening all around us. But to my mind, that innovative disruption is here, and really what this particular and I'm really looking forward to from this seminar is the technological innovations that have happened in our industry and how they've kind of actually taken forward the way our industry works. And to my mind, this will actually define the way our industry is going to be working over the next few years. So in that sense, it's something that one should really be excited to participating in, and reading up all the papers or listening to the presentations.
I have just one thought, and I think it's anticipation of what's going to come in this seminar, is that I can see at least 2 pages of notes with interesting ideas that are going to be filled in. And that's the joy of being part of the seminar and looking at all these synopses this time.
Well, absolutely same here. Just one more point to add to that, which I'm looking forward to, is that normally you get a book of papers, take back with you and refer to, which, I'm sure all of us have lots of those from the past seminar. But this time, because we're doing it digitally, a lot of content will be available, digitally via the MRSI as well, particularly to the members. So then, it's sort of a lot of on-demand material that you can access at any point in time.
Yes.
Rather than having to look for that book, I don't know where I kept it, or who took it from me.
Yeah.
So that's also the new thing we'll do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I think, Manish, like you've spoken about it, but this whole keynote speakers and, getting a panel of experts to come and speak to us, I think that's going to be really exciting and engaging as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So lots and lots of things to look forward to. I hope that people who are going to come and participate are also looking forward to it and excited about it as much as we are.
Yes.
Absolutely. Looking forward.
So see you at the MRSI, I think.
See you at the MRSI.
See you at the
Thank you so
MRSI.
much for your time.
Yeah,
Interesting
thank you.
talking to you, and look forward to more engagement. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.